Ho, ho, ho! Ring my chimes and call me Tawdry. Happy КьюАй Christmas to you all. Yes, it's us again, by which I mean the deep Mark Steele, the crisp Rich Hall, the even Phill Jupitus, and the snowbound layabout Alan Davies. Pause the music. I should conduct you in. Rich. Mark. Oh. And Phill? And Alan.
What's Crocodile Dundee doing in the third row there?
Leather hat. I've got him. Yep. That's right.
And to keep it seasonal, Jesus is here. How much more Christmassy can you get?
Fantastic. Here's a question for you. What makes a festive balloon like this go up?
Helium.
It's the right answer. 2 points. And what does it do to your voice?
Makes it go higher pitched if you inhale it.
Oh. It doesn't make your voice go up. No, it doesn't go up in pitch at all. It's the timbre that changes.
The timbre?
The timbre.
That's a stamp,
isn't it? It's... We wanted to give you all some helium to show it by having you sing. But I've got the 3 worst words in the English language to offer you. And safety. It's 4 words. It's 4 words. But I'm afraid health and safety wouldn't let us do it on television.
What did they think could possibly happen?
Float away?
No, exactly. It's not a poisonous gas, for heaven's sake. You dive, don't you?
Yes. You breathe compressed air for scuba diving.
Yeah, but it's oxygen and helium. For deep-sea diving, that is.
So why didn't Jacques Cousteau, when he was always on the World About, go, "We have been underneath the sea..." It was his real voice. Was he like Paul Robeson?
We have been minutious...
There is a gas you can breathe called xenon, which is, I think, one of the inert gases, where you do actually go John Wayne-like when you...
Freon is like that also.
Freon does that, does it?
Yeah. Refrigerator. Yeah, you can suck the back out of a refrigerator and your voice will be much lower. We did it all the time as kids.
Did you now?
Is this what, maybe if you're on EastEnders, every character has to have this before they start doing a bit? Oh, like that! And then they go, we've got a talk.
That's what all the optics are behind the bar.
Yes, the fact is sound travels faster in helium, which increases the frequency but not the pitch. It's time for crackers. You've each got one. Alan, why don't you pull yours with Phill, and whoever wins can read out the riddle. Oh!
Why is the Emperor Penguin like Santa Claus?
Kids love them. Can't get enough of either. Big fella with presents, funny bird.
Which one's Santa there? I like the one on the left. He's not trying to.
Scientists give ecstasy to one penguin.
And peck.
Well, I can tell you the answer is they both come once a year. Emperor penguins have a really tragic... You can see how sad they look there. They have a pretty tragic sex life. The male gets 10 seconds of ejaculation and then has to spend 2 months at the freezing South Pole incubating an egg while the wife goes off to eat fish and things like that.
He comes for 10 seconds?
Yeah.
What noise do they make, though, when they're...
They sound a little like Angela Rippon.
Good evening, and this is the news.
Yeah, that's also... It's unusual.
And finally!
The only animal...
This just in.
So, Aristotle believed that you should always make love facing the north because the strong icy winds from the north helped conception and made for strong babies, apparently.
Who should be facing the north?
Those couples kind of
facing
line
the north.
themselves. Well, I mean, surely it's usual. I mean, you don't do it like that, do you? Or like that? Oh, I see. Like that.
And many a man will hear his wife questioning, is that a compass between my shoulder blades? Or is... Hang on,
Hang on, dear.
Wait.
Hang on, dear.
I'll have to phone my mate in Orienteer. I've got the wife at Magnetic North. Does it have to be? Well, could you get your Aristotle out and have a look for me?
You can use GPS these days. It's so much easier.
That's if you're doing it in the Jag. You can just...
Now, Christmas is often an excuse for a large, manly cigar. If you want to take up smoking, but you want to increase your life expectancy by about 8 years, what should you do? There is a way you can do it. Yes.
Take up smoking 8 years later than you were going to.
Move to Siberia.
Yeah?
Because the life expectancy there is longer. And also, it's one of the last places on Earth where you can still smoke.
That's a good answer. That's a very good answer. Let's put it this way. Smoking, according to most anti-smoking scientists, might shave off 5 years of your life. But there is something you can do, something I could do, something all of us could do, which would increase our life expectancy by 13 years.
Shut up. Shut up
13,
talking.
not get married, no, not shut up.
Ever become women?
Not quite as extreme as that.
Just cut off the testicles.
Yes, is the answer. No, eunuchs. No, eunuchs.
I'd rather die 8 years sooner.
So there we are. That's the answer. The beneficial side effects of castration can increase your life expectancy by 13 years, which comfortably outweighs the mere 5 years which a 20-a-day habit is supposed to take off your life on average. Other good things about being castrated are you don't go bald or suffer from acne, so it's easier to pull. But talking of traditional Christmassy objects, what did Italian barbers do with 8,000 balls every year?
Increase their life expectancy by 32,000 years.
Were they, because barbers, they've got a cutthroat razor, were they in the castrating business?
They were in
on
the
side?
castrating game, and there were that many castrations between the 16th century and the mid-19th century for castrati, for singing. 4,000 Italian 8-year-olds every year.
8-year-olds?
8-year-olds,
And
yeah.
now, is that their choice, or is that pushy
They're
parenting?
pushy parents, I'm afraid. But they can become incredibly rich and successful. The most recent one was a fellow called Moresco. We have him on record. Can we hear a little bit of Moresco, who died in 1922, was the last of the papal castrati?
This is the sound of the actual operation.
Set you off. In a minute you hear...
But certainly Farinelli, did you ever see that film about Farinelli? He could sing from a C3 down there. Oh, I did it. There. Up to
It's like that music quiz.
Can you hear those two? But that's quite a range.
Their voices never break.
No, because the testosterone is what causes the lengthening of the vocal cords to deepen the voice. The operation was illegal, and so would often be carried out by the village barber, and then explained as some kind of accident with a wild boar.
Did they have photos up on the wall of people with no bollocks?
Slightly outdated one.
Yeah. Tony Curtis's lack of knackers, you know.
So they come round with a mirror afterwards and go,
Why don't you, young Rich?
Name one of the animals present at the birth of Jesus.
Donkey.
Donkey? Well,
camel, there must be a camel.
a camel egg? No. Oh dear, oh dear. No.
Cow.
A cow?
Sheep.
Sheep, eh? Piling on the points.
Were there no animals?
Ah, well done. You saved
But it
yourself
was born
50
in a
points.
stable full of animals. I've seen it in the nativity models.
Ah, yes. But in fact, the first nativity crib wasn't till over 1,000 years, 1,200 years after the birth of Christ. There's no reference whatsoever to animals at Christ's birth. There's just one reference in Luke to Christ being laid in a manger. And so people have assumed it may have been a stable, but there's absolutely no evidence otherwise whatsoever. But you can get a point if you can tell me who it was who came up with the first crib with animals in 1223.
1223.
Thomas Aquinas, when was he?
Not Thomas Aquinas, no, but certainly a saint.
St. Francis.
St. Francis of Assisi, quite right,
That's
Mark
worth
Steele.
more than a point.
Yes, have 5.
Do you know what? I'm sort of, I don't mind religion in a way, really, because what I love is that the thought for the day that comes on the radio in the morning. Because all they do whatever's on that day's news, and they just crowbar Jesus in. Somehow, so they have some vicar say something. As the continuing row about A-level testing seems to rumble on and on and on, isn't that a little bit like Jesus? Well, although Jesus didn't have to do A-levels, he certainly did have to do tests. When he went into the wilderness, wasn't that God's way of saying you may turn over your papers and begin now? Brilliant.
In America, they just milk it in ads at Christmas. Everything is Autolite, the spark plug Jesus would have used.
St. Francis in the town of Greccio, he put down some hay and some little toy oxen and asses. That was the start of it all. Now, what do we know about the Magi?
They taught Luke Skywalker everything he knows.
Are they tribesmen like the Jedi?
Well, I mean, everyone is a tribesman of some kind. I did an interview with the president of Uganda, and I don't know why you find that so amusing. Why is that
No
funny?
other person could say that and get away with it.
Well, I did, so that. Anyway, they were on Kampala. And one thing he got rid of in Uganda was excessive sectarianism. And I asked him this question. I said, you yourself are Ugandan. He said, yes, I am. What tribe are you? And it's an absolutely right point.
I would say my tribe would be probably Essex.
Essex. Yeah.
Cherokee.
Cherokee. Do you have Cherokee?
Part Cherokee, yeah.
Really?
When you said about interviewing the president of Uganda, that reminded me, someone's told me that they were in the same office as David Frost. They walked into the office just as David Frost picked up the phone and said, Boutros, how the devil are you?
No, this is my story. Oh, is it? Yeah. It's weird. This is weird.
That one now.
No.
You're going to tell us you were at the birth of Christ in a minute.
It's just...
I was actually there at the beginning of what we might call today's
Well, I
Christmas.
was interviewing the Virgin Mary.
No, I did one of his Sunday morning programmes where he was supposed to look at the papers of David Frost. And behind I had this other guest coming in. I didn't know who else was in. It was Sunday morning, for God's sake. I was barely alive. But I heard the voice behind me, Boutros, always a pleasure. That story. He's fantastic like that. I remember once, just to make you laugh at me again, but I happened to be at a 4th of July party. The American ambassador was holding it at his house in Regent's Park. And
Steve, you've got to tell us. Ferrero Rocher, as far as the eye can see.
But again, I was talking to David Frost, and Tony Blair walked past. And David Frost threw out a hand and went, "Beloved." It was fantastic. Beloved. He once, and he said something was written, but so I gather you've written a book. It behoves, we're all we behove us, it be roll over behoven. However, probably enough frosty stories.
That guy, then.
There we are. So, the Magi, the Magi, we hoped you might fall into the trap of suggesting that they were 3 wise men, and that is not what they are. They were Persian or Zoroastrian priests.
And what's myrrh?
What did they really bring?
Myrrh is an oil.
Is it good for babies?
It's expensive and rare, and whether it's good for babies or not, it's used in anointing. Of course, 6 days after he was born, a week after he was born, he had to have the old snip while we're on the subject, didn't he, Jesus? The Feast of Circumcision, as it is called.
An Italian barber, tipped up?
It wasn't, no, Jesus was
Would
not...
you allow me to cut anything else? I could make him sing.
Jesus had to...
He could be rich. He said, "Now what you want, Mary, look at you in his shitty stable. You're so lucky there is no animals here, it would be worse."
strange version of Stoke Newton Greek has crept into that.
That's my random southern Mediterranean.
And it works well. It works well. It's stood you by all these years. Well, according to the enfeebled adults who run the General Synod of the Church of England, magi is a word which discloses nothing about numbers, wisdom or gender. It's generally been assumed that there were 3 of them because they brought 3 gifts, but it's quite possible there were 4 and one forgot to get a present until after the shops were closed. Anyway, they could have been women, apparently.
I liked your use of enfeebled adults.
Did you? Thank you. Thank you. One thing we do know about the Magi, don't we, is that they all went their separate ways afterwards because they'd heard tell of Herod and how angry he was about this. But what do we know of Herod's wife? In other words, what was the name of Herod's wife? Yes.
Mrs. Herod.
Oh, I'm not going to say you're predictable, but my goodness me. No, we want her given name. They didn't use Mrs. in Judea.
Maria, Sylvia, Jane, Michelle, Mary.
Fortunately, we haven't got all those up. No,
Beyonce.
It's nearly that odd. It's nearly that
Britney.
odd.
Madonna.
It begins with
Yvonne.
a D.
Denise.
No.
Dawn.
Detox.
Closer.
Donna.
Diana.
Closer.
Donatella.
Donatella.
No, forget the N.
Dot.
Do is a good beginning.
Dorothy.
Shorter.
Dorothea. Dot.
K, Sarah.
Doris.
Doris, thank you, Doris.
Doris Herod? Yes.
No, it's a surprise. Her name was Doris.
He's been out all night killing babies, I'm telling you. He comes back in here covered from head to foot in the blood of the innocents. I am not washing that cloak.
Good. A lot of mileage to be had out of poor Herod's wife. She was indeed called Doris. Doris. It's a Greek name. To our ears, it is a bit funny. But so...
Did
you find the Messiah? Because he's a very naughty boy.
King Herod and Queen Doris. There they are.
How do you say it in Greek, though?
I mean, you would say Doris. Probably a slight hint of.
Can you do a
that.
Greek pronunciation of Greek things?
Stachtodokios, if you want, is ashtray, for example. Oh, you mean ancient Greek?
Ancient Greek, yeah.
It wasn't the same sort of Greek. They weren't walking around in togas up the Parthenon and that philosophising, going, I wonder whether the sun go round the earth or is it other way around? It's been a puzzling me all night about a triangle and whether these are like the angle, they all are the same on the different angle compared to that one up there is the same, innit?
It's Pythagoras.
Put these vegetables on that skewer and shut up.
My grandfather always used to call Pythagoras Pythagoras because he was Hungarian, my grandfather. He said, you go to school, you'll learn about Pythagoras. And I was thinking, who's this Pythagoras? And I remember saying, and I came out, he said, did you do the Pythagoras? I said, no, we've not done any Pythagoras. He said, you ask your mathematics teacher, must do the Pythagoras. And I said, are we going to do Pythagoras? He goes, shut up, Fry. So I did Pythagoras. Years later, I discovered he meant Pythagoras. He used to pronounce pineapple upside down cake, Piniople obshide dovne tsoka.
I just wanted to move on because my mom's name is Doris.
Oh, there you are.
It is.
After, or named for, as you say in America, named for Doris Day?
No. It was given to her by the president of Madagascar.
Now, it's another cracker question, so it must be Phil's turn.
Oh, lordy.
Oh!
Hey!
Ah!
How many heads did Jesus' granny have?
Maternal or paternal?
Well, if you think about it, he only had a maternal grandmother because his father wasn't Joseph. So he had his mother's mother, but he didn't have a father's mother. Because God didn't have a mother. Ah, yeah.
So I'm not as stupid.
Oh, no, you're not even... No, you're not. You couldn't be.
How many...
No, I mean...
No, I couldn't sink as low as Stephen's expectations.
No, not at all.
His mum's mum had how many heads?
Yeah.
1 head.
Well, his mother's mother was Sudan, and rather oddly, she had 7. On the authority of the church, she had 7, because for hundreds of years during the Middle Ages, her heads were proudly on display, simultaneously, at Lyon, Apt, Aix-la-Chapelle and Chartres in France, in Bologna, in Sicily, and in Düren in Germany. And so she must have had 7, because the church recognised them all. Good. Time for another question, then. How is it possible to die and come back to life after 3 days?
Cryogenics.
Oh, it's sort of know what you're saying there, yes, cryogenics, yeah.
I nearly said calisthenics.
Yes, it's a mixture where you do exercises while you're frozen in suspension. Yeah.
What was it? Genics.
Cryogenics. Well, yeah, they're freezing
where they
people.
freeze you and bring you back to life.
Well, no, what you want to be is a water bear, which has another rather sweet name, which is a tardigrade. There's one.
Is that it?
Oh, yes.
That's not a bear.
No, it's the Sydney Opera House.
It really is a Sydney Opera
It is
House.
weird, isn't it? You can see where he got the idea from. No, they're not very big. I mean, you can see them with the naked eye. That's magnified. We've done all kinds of nasty things to them. We have boiled them, frozen them, poisoned them, suffocated them, dehydrated them, and bombarded them with radioactivity. And still they live. They just put themselves into suspended animation in such a state without any metabolism going on until things turn out nicely for them.
That's not a very nice way to treat a bear.
It certainly isn't.
I've been bombarded with radiation, boo-boo, and they're frozen me and buried me. I'm gonna be dead for 1,000.
Oh, yogi.
Well, in fact, tardigrades have been frozen to within 1 degree of absolute zero.
I thought you were going to say to within an inch of their life.
I shall freeze you within an inch of your life.
Would you have that as a superpower if you could? What would your superpower be of choice?
Invisibility.
Really?
Yeah, I think.
Would you?
Oh, it'd be great fun. What would you like?
I'd like to have no bodily smell.
I would like to travel ahead in time, but only by 2 seconds. I could go gesundheit, and you would sneeze.
You would really freak people out, wouldn't you? That's a very funny idea. We must have another question, another cracker question. So,
Right, well, I'll read out what it says. It says, where's, like, the coolest place in the universe, man?
Venus.
You've deliberately chosen the planet that's second nearest to the sun. It is the coolest place in the universe.
You meant Venus in the winter.
Yeah. Neptune. Camden Market.
Well, you're much, much nearer than you were with Mercury, because it's on Earth.
The freezer.
No, whether you can get much colder. The coldest you can go is minus 273 centigrade, which is known as absolute zero, or 0 Kelvin. And then everything stops. And even the universe is 3 degrees above absolute zero, because it still has some of the heat left over from the Big Bang. Even the coldest reaches
Everything stops.
Yeah, there's nothing.
Can't get any colder.
You can't get it. Yes, you can't get a bus. You can't get a dentist appointment. Nothing.
So where might it be absolute
Well, the
zero?
scientists have managed to create a big bar, a huge 1-ton metal bar, which is just a fraction of a degree above absolute zero.
Is it, ironically, in the middle of the desert?
Well, it's actually in a very hot place indeed. It's in Louisiana, yes, in Baton Rouge, the State University of Louisiana.
There's bound to be one scientist goes in with the big iron bar one day.
Frank! And then suddenly be like, whoop, 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 and a SWAT team.
Oh, not again.
You can't resist it, can you?
The only chance there's something else as cold in the universe is if it's been created by an alien intelligence in some other part of the universe. Now, fingers on the buzzers for another round of general ignorance.
No, I don't want to do general ignorance.
Why not?
Because I always get them wrong and I will not be humiliated at Christmas.
Well, you don't know anything, that's the problem.
Well, it's you have all the answers, so why... There's no point telling me I don't know anything.
Well, do you think it's easy for me, do you?
Yes, I think it's quite easy for you.
All right, why don't you sit here and I'll sit there.
I was only having a joke.
Yeah, well, it's Christmas. It's traditional at Christmas time for servants to be served by the master. So everything swaps round. Go on, sit on. Oh, it's easy now. You see, this is just lounge back and talk to Phil.
OK, Stephen.
Oh, yes. Oh, hello.
I've been waiting for this opportunity.
Oh,
A
Christ.
question just for Stephen.
Yes.
Who plays in goal for Aston Villa?
Well, I do know you've got a Swede called Thomas Sorensen who plays in goal, but has he been taken over by Stefan Poster?
Postma, yes.
Postma, yeah. Which is your number one?
Thomas Sorensen's the number one.
Sorensen.
It's actually Danish, but I'll give you that.
Yes, you played against England.
Yes. This isn't going to work. Okay.
I just happened to know that.
Another question for Stephen.
Oh, no.
You probably all know this one. But, what was Mozart's middle name?
This is going to be a trick question, isn't it?
I don't know. You're the smarty pants.
Oh, bollocks.
Have to hurry you.
Well, you want me to say Amadeus, so I'll say Amadeus.
Wolfgang. His full name was Johann Chrysostomus Wolfgangus Theophilus Mozart. He usually called himself Wolfgang Amad, not Amadeus, or Wolfgang Gottlieb. This question for Stephen Fry. How many states of matter are there?
Oh, hello. Well, if you count plasma, I suppose 4. Liquid, solid, gas.
4 is wrong. 6. I'm surprised at you, Stephen.
Oh. It's printed down, is it?
They are, of course, solid, liquid, gas, plasma, Bose-Einstein condensate, and fermionic condensate, sometimes known as filament.
Just done.
This question is for Stephen Fry.
Alan Davies hunched in front of his pub trivia machine. And how's it all? I'll have that.
Which way does the bathwater go down the plug hole in the northern hemisphere?
Whichever way you want it to. You can push it to go one way and push it to go the other. I've tried it.
Oh. Yeah, that's true.
Stephen, what are you doing in that bathroom? I'm pushing it to go one way. I'm pushing it to go the other. I'm the master.
OK. What do penguins in the Falkland Islands do when RAF jets fly over them?
Fry, Cambridge.
They look up and fall over, topple over backwards.
Really?
Yeah.
Hey! See, it's wrong. Oh, Fry, you idiot. They walk away from the noise. The idea that they watch the jets going overhead and then fall backwards is an urban myth. This one, for everyone. What kind of animal is sacred in India?
Do not say cow! Do not say cow! That's my hint.
The cow.
I warned you.
There are no sacred cows in India. The term sacred is a Christian one, doesn't really apply to India. Even if it did, it wouldn't apply to cows. There are no cow deities, cow icons, cow statues, and no temples to cows.
Good.
Cows are one of the few animals that are not the object of worship in India.
There you are. Well done. Do you want me to wrap up?
Yeah, why don't you...
I'll wrap up. All right. Well done. I just hate to see what the score is. Well done. Well done. Well, on that extraordinary note, let's look at the scores. In first place, with a very proud and impressive 7 points, is Rich Hall. In second place is Mark with 2 points. Phill is third with -3. Alan has -52. But unfortunately, our runaway loser is Stephen on -56. So, from Rich, Mark, Phill, Alan and myself, and from all of us at QI, hope you enjoy the rest of the Christmas holiday. Have a brilliant New Year, and we'll see you again very soon. Good night. Happy Christmas.
Bye.